Okay, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish up by talking about homeostasis and some body system stuff, and then cancer cells, and then get into tox. Okay, so homeostasis is going ahead and keeping an organism stable, keeping an organism stable, right? Because especially warm-blooded organisms, we have to go ahead and we have to keep certain things in check, right? Because we have to remember that if we don't have our body temperature in balance, our glucose, any nutrients or anything are out of balance, then that species can go ahead and that species it has a possibility of dying. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give an example of each of the following body systems that goes ahead and maintains homeostasis. So for lungs, right, what will happen is that CO2 is going out and O2 comes in. We're bringing in oxygen that is necessary for the body. CO2 is waste, right? So we have to remember that we're going ahead and we're pushing that waste outside of our body, and that CO2 waste comes from all of our different cells that are going ahead and that are going through respiration. Okay, cardiovascular system. Pretty much, this is going to be your circulatory. I didn't really use cardiovascular. So this is our circulatory system. So in our circulatory system, what is going ahead and that's happening is that we're pumping O2 and nutrients to the body. And then we're going ahead and we're taking out waste, right? So we're going ahead and taking out waste. So we're taking out waste like carbon dioxide, like so this would be CO2. This would be like our H plus deal that make our muscles sore. Any of those things are going ahead and those are being taken out. Excretory or renal system. Renal system goes ahead and gets rid of liquid waste. It also filters the blood, right? So it makes sure that we have enough nutrients that needs to be in our blood, right? So this goes ahead and checks water levels. It goes ahead and checks pH, right? It's going ahead and it's checking those things in our blood and filtering things that we do not need, right? Blood glucose, this is managed by the pancreas. The pancreas goes ahead and it tells which things can go ahead and which things can go ahead and which things can come in. So glucose can come into the cell or out of the cell, depending on what the pancreas tells it. In or out, depending on what is needed. So it goes ahead and it checks like in the blood, and if there's too much sugar in the blood, right, the pancreas will go ahead and will release that insulin so that the other cells can go ahead and can absorb that glucose, right? Body temperature. So body temperature is managed by the integumentary system, which is the skin. So what happens is that we go ahead and that we sweat if it's too hot. And then we go ahead and we shiver to create heat if it's too cold. It's cold. Okay, so those are different things on how we go ahead and how we maintain homeostasis. So our next thing is we're going to go ahead and we're going to touch on some of the last few things that we got to hit is regular cells and cancer cells. So on this one might be a little bit tough for me to write on, but I will make it work. Okay, so regular non-cancer cells. So what cells are supposed to do, right? So cells are supposed to go ahead and cells are going to replicate as needed. right? This is like out of control replication. Control replication. Regular non-cancer cells, they are going to be going ahead and they stop and repair at checkpoints. Right? Cancer cells will not stop at checkpoints. So again, the cancer cells are out of control. They're going ahead and they are replicating as they go ahead and as they feel fit, right? So those are a couple of things on there. Another couple of things that you guys can go ahead and that you guys can say about these two cells is cancer cells will, besides like going ahead and besides not stopping at checkpoints, they'll go ahead and they will replicate faster, right? So because they're not stopping, they go ahead and they replicate very, very quickly. Versus like non-cancer cells, right? They will go ahead and they have a slower replication time. So some of those different things that you guys do need to know. They're both types of cells, right? And it can be like the same like type. So in other words, like you can have like a cancer like stomach cell, right? And then a regular stomach cell. So the main thing is that they're all like different types of cells and they all fit into the category of a cell. It's just that some of the things that you guys see on there is that cancer cells are just like a little bit out of control sort of deal. So those are the things that you guys do need to know about those cancer cells. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some of the different sources of cancer and how you guys can get them. So some of it can be hereditary, not all of it is hereditary. Right. So some of it can be inherited. Majority is an acquired mutation. And what I mean by that is that it's an acquired mutation from the environment. So, in other words, being exposed to certain things can go ahead and that can increase those risks for cancer. So, some things that you guys can think about is radiation, chemicals, and some diseases. So some of these diseases we're talking about like HPV and like some bacteria can go ahead and can get that. You cannot get cancer from like another person, right? Cancer is not like contagious. It's just something that happens to like certain cells in the sense that they become mutated. Okay. Okay. Different phases of the cell cycle. So there are a few things that we have. We have our G1 phase, which is our growing phase 1. We have G2. Oh, let me go in order. We have G1 first, then we have S, which is going ahead and we're duplicating our DNA. Then we have G2, in which we go ahead and we grow again. And then we have our M phase, right? And then we have the G0 phase, which means you're outside the cycle. Outside the cycle. Okay, so those are things on there. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through checkpoints and then graphing rules, and then we'll be done.